What is up, DW Nation? It's a little different day of the week for me. You know, usually you see me on Thursdays. Today you see me on a Saturday. I'm here to dive into your Smackdown recap. You already know what time it is. It's the usual. It's just a different night. That's the only difference. This week on Smackdown, we saw a huge IC Championship match. We also saw Bianca Belair possibly tease where she might be leaning towards in her Royal Rumble decision. And we also saw the return of the Rated R Superstar. Yeah, he's had a busy week this week. So we're actually going to see him and finish out our week with him on SmackDown and see how the Tribal Chief responds to the Rated R Superstar. So without further ado, I'm Kevin Jones, the Disciples of Wrestling, and let's get down to it. So we start off the show with the Tribal Chief, the Universal Champion, Mr. Roman Reigns, hot off of his Royal Rumble Championship defense against KO. So, of course, you already know he's got a little more stride to his walk, you know what I'm saying? So he's going in there and he's talking about no other than the Royal Rumble winner, Mr. Rated R Superstar, Edge. And he's talking about how, due to the system, that is the next man in line. And how he feels disrespected. The Edge hasn't even acknowledged Roman and is making him wait on Edge's decision. He said that Edge should be begging to be next in line for the Universal Championship title. And he feels like, as the top guy, that Edge honestly is degrading and devaluing him. Yeah, that's how Roman feels. So, of course, Paul Heyman, being Paul Heyman, he's like, Edge is here right now. And he's like, oh, really? And then we see some directors come up to Paul Heyman and go, Edge isn't even here. And that makes Roman Reigns just furious. Roman's insanely upset about this. And he lets Edge know flat out. He said, you got until the end of the night to make your decision. And those are some very, very aggressive words from our Tribal Chief. First match is Dominic Mysterio versus King Corbin. So as Dominic is coming out with his father, Rey, we see Baron Corbin come out and he attacks Dominic and throws Rey Mysterio off of the stage into a little table section. And of course, as the match gets started, we see Dominic go straight to some fast-paced offense, but that quickly got met by Baron Corbin's power as Baron really aimed to ground him throughout the match. Now this changed the tide a little bit to Dominic when he actually brings Baron Corbin outside the ring to hit a big splash. But quickly, this turns back into Baron's favor as he hits the end of days. Now, this is mostly a back and forth towards the end. And then we suddenly see Rey Mysterio come back to the ringside area. And then he goes underneath the ring. So he climbs over to the other side while Dominic and Baron are outside of the ring fighting it on. And then we see Dominic get back in the ring. And as Baron goes to get back in the ring, we see Rey Mysterio grab Baron's leg. And then we see Dominic hit a 619 from the held up Baron Corbin. And then he has a big frog splash for the win for a very, very, very much needed win for Mr. Dominic Mysterio. So our next match was Cesaro versus Daniel Bryan, the Swiss Cyborg versus the leader of the Yes Movement. And boy, oh boy, this was a nice match. Starting off, we saw Daniel Bryan start off very aggressive and with strong offense. And then we see Cesaro start to get in some offense. But for the most part, for anything that Cesaro really had that was a big move or a variation going on, Daniel Bryan had an answer for it. But this ended up changing later on in the match. In the final sequence, when Cesaro gets Daniel in what it looks like as a standing surfboard variation on his shoulders, takes him up to a military press, and then hits him with a wicked backbreaker. It was actually really crazy to see. And then he does the Cesaro swing, the world famous swing, and then he goes into the sharpshooter and makes Daniel Bryan tap. So in case you guys weren't keeping up with the math, this is 2 wins that Cesaro's had against Daniel Bryan. A very, very huge win for Mr. Cesaro. And I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with him because he's got a lot of momentum right now. But don't be too shocked. Cesaro's contract ends at the end of WrestleMania. So this could be the reasoning of this push. So we'll see how this ends up playing out. So our third match of the night, we actually saw Bayley versus Ruby Riott with Miss Billie Kay on commentary and Miss Liv Morgan ringside. So this match was actually fairly decent. It was a very short match. but a very decent match, may I add. Great display from both females. Really, Bayley had a lot of the offense. Ruby did look solid, but Bayley had an answer for everything. And she ends up finishing her in, I'd say, a 5-minute match. This was actually a very, very dominant display by Bayley. As we can tell, she's actually very, very heated over all the buzz with Bianca Belair after her Royal Rumble win. And Bayley's looking to reestablish herself as the top female of SmackDown. So, speaking of Miss Bianca Belair, she was actually in this next segment. She comes out and she's going to be possibly making her decision on who she's going to be wrestling at WrestleMania. Whether it's going to be Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship or Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And as she's talking up both of these respectable champions, we get Mr. Reginald to interrupt. Yeah, Reggie, Carmella's LaFourier. That's what they call him. I didn't even know he could speak until here. He actually ends up coming out and says, you can't even beat Carmella. What makes you think you're going to beat Sasha? And, you know, Bianca won't finna have all that. And then right when she was about to clap back, we actually get the entrance of Miss Sasha Banks. Yes, Sasha comes out and she flat out lets him know, hey, I've already beat Carmella, so she in the past. Right now, I got my eyes on Miss Bianca Belair. She compliments Bianca, lets her know that ever since she's come to the main roster that she's been making things happen. And with her debut in the Royal Rumble last year, and now her in her second Royal Rumble and winning that, she's just letting her know that Bianca's got her eye because she's looking to make history. And she flat out said, if you're going to choose me, then you should choose me right now. And then right when Bianca starts to talk, we see Mr. Reggie interrupt again. And before long, we see Miss Bianca Belair take her ponytail, you know, that long thing, and she whoops Reggie. Yeah, she whooped Reggie so bad, she whipped him out the ring. And then that was pretty much it. As soon as that happened, that left Carmella speechless, and daggone Sasha and Bianca were happy. Our next match is the Alpha Academy with Chad Gable and Otis versus the Dirty Dogs of Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. And I'm not gonna lie, this Dirty Dog theme song, it's a hit. I'm trying to tell you, it's a hit. But going straight to the action, we actually see a nice feeling out process between Chad Gable and Dolph Ziggler with both of their collegiate background. We saw a lot of mat wrestling. And then eventually we actually see Chad Gable get zeroed off while Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler hit some great tag team action. Then we actually eventually see Otis get the hot tag and clean house. I mean, this big boy was moving. And then eventually he tags in Gable again, and that's when the momentum dramatically changes as Dolph Ziggler actually takes out Otis on the outside of the ring, and we see Bobby Roode hit the glorious DDT for the win. And on commentary, we actually got the Street Profits. So, you know, they brought the entertainment, I ain't gonna front. But at the end of this match, they talked about how Ziggler and Roode had been dodging him. I mean, after 312 days of holding the tag championships and then 2 Slammies, why ain't they had a rematch? And they said, hey, y'all can dodge us but so many times. So it's looking like we're gonna see a future SmackDown tag team rematch between the Street Profits and the Dirty Dogs real soon. And now our last match of the evening, it was the IC Championship triple threat match between Big E, Sami Zayn, and Apollo Crews. Now, this was a fast and furious match, really was, where Apollo got a lot of the shine. And then, of course, with his athletic ability and just his strength factor, he was really a big threat for both of these men. But we saw Big E use his powerhouse ability, and we saw Sami Zayn use his cunning ability to really outsmart situations and be a very opportunistic person throughout the match. But what this came down to was when Sami Zayn hit the Halua kick on Big E Langston and goes for the pin for the finish. But we actually see Apollo Crews take out Sami to the outside of the ring. And then Sami throws a fit, but Apollo eventually gets him up for a military press and throws him into the timekeeper's area. And as soon as Apollo runs into the ring, we see Big E hit Apollo with the big ending, finishing him off for a successful title defense for Mr. Big E. So, the last segment of the night, you already know what time it is. It's decision time for Edge. Yeah, you already heard the Tribal Chief from earlier tonight. Make your decision tonight. And Edge is coming out, and he's talking big about all 3 champions. And talking about how hard his options are right about now. With Drew McIntyre as the WWE champion, Finn Balor as the NXT champion, and the Universal champion being Roman Reigns. as he's talking highly about all three champions, the Tribal Chief comes out. And he coming out full force. He has his cousin Jey Uso and Mr. Paul Heyman out there. So as he's talking in the ring, he just flat out says, "Hey, bro, I don't appreciate you, making me wait. I'm the head of the table. D-man. I shouldn't have to wait on you, bro." And as this is going on, Edge flat out says, "I can tell him in your head. You still got your cousin out here. You are really worried." And then he turns over to Jay, and he goes, "Hey, Uso, I'll see you in the bus, bro. Just go ahead, peace. You got the night off, bro." So he gets face to face with Edge, and he flat out says, "You need to be picking me. You should be begging to wrestle against me. I want to hear you say my name, and this is your cue to go ahead and talk." And as Edge starts to bring up that microphone to his mouth, we get Kevin Owens coming from behind Roman Reigns to hit him with a stunner. And talking about a stunner, Edge was stunned. He didn't believe what happened. He was left speechless. And then as Kevin Owens just literally stuns him and leaves, we see Edge there with his pretty much jaw dropped, and that's the closing moments of the show. So, ladies and gents, that was everything that happened on SmackDown from last night. It was a good show, a very, very wrestling heavy. I really enjoyed that part. But overall, very easy watch. Not a whole lot of great things happened. I mean, it was a solid show. Good things did come out of it. And I saw two heck of a matches from last night. But you already know what time it is. If you guys like the video, definitely don't be afraid to hit that thumbs up section. If you guys want to keep up with everything we got going on and get a notification whenever we got videos dropping, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. If you guys want to just get the word out since we're coming on up, go ahead and hit that share button and let your friends know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And then until next time, I'm Kevin Jones, the Disciples of Wrestling, and that was wrestling.